it's great that we have a program like EOP, but like for students who are not part of the EOP program, who are of, different ethnicities, when they come in, say, well, who do I go to? And hopefully they'll run into somebody or run into a professor or run into a teacher that may say, hey, can I help you with something or whatever it may be? And they have that opportunity and they have that chance.
Teaching is a big thing because, I got to learn a little bit more what it was to be black, quote unquote, And I feel like a lot of the issues come from being uneducated because there are people who, I was black and grew up in an area with not a lot of black people, but because I was black, I got to learn what it was to be black. But let's say for someone who's not black, you don't have anywhere except for the media to kind of learn. So when you come here, this is why you expect these certain things, why don't they sag their pants, and wow, you know how to speak, and oh my gosh, it's almost oh, you're an Oreo, you sound white, things like that. And I feel it's because of the lack of education, because if you're only going to learn from what you see on TV, we're gangbangers and thugs, exactly. Right. So we, education, for social education is important.
Brilliant people out there, and I'll say I have tons of mentors, specifically to focus on an individual named Dika Landra, and that was my debate coach. Having trouble in 9th grade, I was forced to do an activity, in order to stay in my school, because my school had an application process. There was a college preparatory school. They was trying to become one of the best, so they had this mini application process. And in jeopardy of getting kicked out, I was forced to do debate. And, this lady, taking me to Harvard, Yale, and debating against kids that's going to the top universities in the world. And one thing I've always been blessed with, I always had a gift for gab. I was always able to talk myself out of any situation. As far as when I was growing up, and coming from the Bronx, you got to be able to talk yourself out of a lot of situations. Okay. Yeah. If you want to survive, you see what's going on in Ferguson with cops. Right. You got to know how to talk. You got to know how to know when to shut up, know when to show respect, and know when to make up something on the spot, even if it ain't the truth. So, and I'm just debating, and I'm just killing these kids, man. On topics about race, justice, morals, and it's just something that became a part of me. And it's not because I just enjoyed it, and I saw somebody who just took me around for free. This school, and I'm like, really, I have some potential, and I'm growing. And then she really pushed, go to school, go to college, And then when I came and I talked to you, and I talked to Pam, and I talked to Cheryl, it was like, don't worry about it.
I think one important thing he mentioned was debate, because I don't think that many black and Latino boys know a lot about debate and how useful it is. Because I actually did constitutional law debate as well. So that was one part of my high school career that I really thought, oh, this is something more than just a club. It's more than just a sport. It's actually exercising my mind. So I felt like by exercising both my mind and my body, I just felt like I can do much more than what is expected of me. There's a very systematic way to debating, where you just have to read your knowledge first and then find ways to analyze that. And by doing that, you can actually find ways to analyze other obstacles in life. So I just feel like if more African American and Latino men and women knew more about debate and the advantages that it has, I feel like they would just advance towards success. I was lucky enough to have a mentor before I came to college, and he kind of guided me towards this journey of finding who I am and finding out what I want to do in life. So he really focused on getting a high GPA in college so that I can advance towards my major and I can move on to grad school.
My mentor is Professor Lacey, who's very big within the EOP office, and the opportunities that this man gives me and talk to me about is tremendous. But I'm only one of how many other students who desire those opportunities, who need to know about that internship, who need to know about those research experience. And and it's not to say that only African Americans have given me opportunities on this campus. That's not true. There's other people like my PI for research. She's given me wonderful opportunities, and she's not African American. But it's just being honest, it's just a different experience. Right. Professor Lacey, there's certain things I could talk about. I could say to him because he understands where I come from. He has been through that. He has seen those things, and he understands the community. So it's a different comfort level, and a lot of students don't have that.
Because my parents are African and very traditional, right? So they believe that education comes first before everything.
We don't want to lose our young people in this education system to go back home and to try to just find a job and work for the next 10, 15, 20 years.
I need help. I need guidance. And, I see a lot of my friends and a lot of African Americans, Hispanics, a lot of my friends, they don't want to talk to nobody. They just want to figure it out themselves. But when you thrown in this environment,
Right.
and you with people who had tutors, who had the SAT prep,
Right.
who've been trained since 4 to 3, to education is key. It's going to build the foundation. It's going to open the doors. They knew that since the beginning. They knew that you actually have to know how to study. It's not just opening the book and memorizing things.
Right.
You got to know how to study. It's actually an art. And they have that advantage over us. And you come and you put 20 hours into chem. This kid put 3 hours. He gets an A. You get a C. How do you feel? You feel like I'm nothing. And maybe I should go back home. So overcoming those barriers is what separates you from the rest.
I'm really glad that I took African American Lit in undergrad, because there's a lot of things that I thought just because I'm black I know everything about being black.
Right.
No, I did not know a lot of things. I'm just so glad that I took those classes, so now I know my history. And I even called my mom last week after the whole Ferguson case, and I was like, can you send me my African American Lit book so I can go back to just know my history. Like, it's weird. I'm 23 and I'm like, oh, let me get that book back that I had when I was 19. I want it back now so I can continue to look through my history. So I think it's very important. I think education shouldn't just stop in school. Adults tell me all the time, the old folks say, like, education, you should always be learning. I'm just like, whatever. But now, getting older, I realize you really should always be reading and educating yourself outside of the classroom, inside. It's just so important.